to the Rosbifs Rugby pre-season preview. Pro D2 sides. This time it is Nevers. And like all the other teams in Pro D2, we are doing a preview of Nevers. If you appreciate that, please hit subscribe and give us a follow where you can. But of all the teams, to be honest, Nevers are a little bit of a blind spot for us. We do know that they are very good at unearthing the odd gem, but generally it's a hard place to get to. It's miles away from everywhere else in Pro D2. We've not been to visit yet. We will try and go, I think, in November because you can get there from Paris or Lyon. But you're looking at a 2-hour train from both of those. So it's hard to get to. And also they're not kind of a big name club. They've got a relatively high budget, surprisingly, or in terms of operating budget. I've got no idea how that translates to the player salaries because they don't necessarily have star names within the playing squad either. They actually it feels like a lot of their signings are kind of Moneyball signings that they then pass on to other clubs and develop for other clubs. Nevers are stalwarts of Pro D2. They're ever present, really. They've never really challenged to get up to the top 14. They're not really ever that threatened by relegation. They were 10th last year. They weren't looking very good at one point. I think I called them the worst team in Pro D2 at one point in the season, but they picked up some form. They're a tough place to go because it's one of the smaller ground. I think it might be the smallest ground in the Pro D2. It's hard to get to as well, as I mentioned. They finished 10th. We're thinking a pretty similar vibe this year. I've gone for them 11th. Rich thinks they're 9th. They're that feels about their position. Be interesting to see whether they get caught into that scrap for relegation because they've lost quite a few players. You know, they keep a lot of their key players. So Hugo Boissu, scrum half, played more games than anyone else in the regular season of Pro D2 last season. He's absolutely key to getting them around the park. I think he was in the shortlist for Pro D2 team of the season. Similarly, they've got another experienced head at fly half with Sean Reynolds. He's their primary goal kicker, kind of classic South African 10. Kicked the penalty away at Brive for a famous win. The only team, I think, to beat Brive away last year until Montauban did it in the semi-finals. But a very kind of organised, structured player. Dylan Jaminet, the youngest of the three Jaminet brothers, he has a massive boot, similar to his kind of more famous older brother Melvin. He can drop goals from absolutely everywhere. Few unsung heroes. They're kind of a club of unsung heroes, really, as a few of these Pro D2 sides are. It's kind of all about the collective. But Julien Kazubek, 33-year-old flanker, doesn't always start, but always huge work rate in terms of tackles and turnovers, kind of tackles and turnovers per minute. And huge busties, 33-year-old open-sided workman-like players, really. Bit of a menace in the kind of classic style of a flanker, you know, tackles, turnovers, carries, offloads, just really, really active. They do have they're really good at bringing like young talent through and they pick up young talent from all over the place. But a lot of their kind of key players last season were really, really young players. So Hugo Vignol, loads of game time last season, starting loose head lock at only 22. So they think there's probably a future for him in the top 14. Gabin Rocher was third top try scorer for Nevers last season, 7 tries in 17 games on the wing. That's pretty good. Given that they've got a few other really, really good wingers. Jean-Maxence Jules Rosset, another big try scorer joint third try scorer for Nevers, 7 tries in 21 games, only 9 starts from hooker. So that gives you an indication of Nevers' style of play. They do try and keep it simple, but they do have some dynamite wingers. Their tries seem to all be scored by either hookers or outside backs. Johan Wasserman, 20-year-old winger, South African. He is absolutely rapid and powerful with it. Keep an eye out for him. Simon Tarel, another youngster for Nevers, loads of game time, 22-year-old scrum half. And then Noah Pomelet, 22-year-old centre, the other name we've got there as a good young player. He picked up plenty of starts at 12 at the back end of last season when their form picked up. So you think he's a pretty key cog in there. They have lost some big name players or a lot of their talent. I mentioned that a lot of their tries are scored by wingers. Well, Artem Mataron on the wing has been brilliant for the last couple of seasons. A couple of years ago, they had Christian Mbaliang, who tore it up in his first game for Cast, if you remember him. But him and Mataron together were just tearing it up. They scored some absolutely brilliant tries, both really powerful. Artem Mataron was, I think, a long-term loanee from Lyon. He goes to Lyon next season. Be interesting to see him in the top 14. Alaverity lower. He's also gone to a top 14 club in Clermont. Big physical centre. Didn't have much game time, but a huge impact player. Kind of highest turnovers for them last season. Only 5 tries in 10 games. So when he did play, he was just such a big impact for them. So that's their kind of X-factor players, really, that they lose. That in terms of the tight stuff, Luca Platere played loads of games, top tackler by absolutely miles for Nevers. He's gone to Colomiers. Feels like a great signing for Colomiers, that. And then another player that you might have seen that's a bit of a loss. Wasn't always first choice starter, but Cleopas Kundiona, the Zimbabwean tight head, he's been picked up by Northampton Saints. So again, a young player kind of plucked from nowhere that's gone to another big club. Shows you kind of what sort of side Nevers are, and their signings are kind of typical Moneyball type signings. They've signed Liam Turner, a 25-year-old winger and outside centre from Leinster. Leinster fans might know him. He played 9 games for them last year. I hadn't heard that much about him, but interesting to pick up a player from Leinster. That doesn't feel like a typical Pro Day signing to sign someone from Leinster, especially a 25-year-old. They've picked up Luca Petriashvili from Stade Francais, capped a couple of times with Georgia, the hooker, and Oscar Rickson, a German second row from Clermont. He's played a handful of games for Clermont last season. So some interesting signings. I guess you kind of never know what you're going to get from Nevers. As I said, we don't know that much. We're hoping to try and get there. But in a sentence, how we summarise them, fitting of their feeder club nature, really. They've lost some real quality. They may struggle to keep up with the rest again this season, but you kind of trust the system, trust the process and the collective. Let us know what you think about Nevers. If you've got any questions, we will do our best to answer them if you drop them in the comments. And look out for the rest of the Pro Day 2 previews for the other teams in Pro Day 2 and our pre-season stuff. Generally, you can listen to the podcast that was out earlier this week. That was a bit more of a deep dive from us at Rosbifs Rugby, but hope you enjoyed that.